I escaped a plantation by using the overseer's fear against him. They told us we were watched always, that every path was guarded. That running meant death. But I noticed something the white men did not see about themselves. The overseer commanded us during the day. His voice was a whip. His authority was absolute. But at night, he avoided certain places. The burial ground, the abandoned workhouse, the paths where shadows gathered thick. He feared ghosts more than he trusted his own power. So I made those spaces more frightening, not with violence, not with weapons, with small things that fed what he already believed. A door left to creak, a marker moved at an angle, sounds that should not be there. His fear built my escape route better than any map. While he sent patrols to guard the roads he understood, I walked through the darkness he would not enter. The question is not whether I escaped. The question is, how many others could have walked free through the spaces their masters were too terrified to follow? I work nights near the abandoned workhouse. The building leans like a drunk man. The wood is gray and split. Even the dogs circle wide when they pass this place. I watch the overseer during the day. His voice is a whip. His boots are heavy on the dirt. But when the sun drops, something changes. His orders get shorter, his eyes move faster. He does not stay long. Where shadows gather, I notice this. I store it away. The white men think darkness is the same everywhere. They are wrong. In my land, night belonged to those who understood it. The elders walked paths we could not see. They spoke to what lived between firelight and forest. Here, the whites fear what they cannot name. I finish the tasks. Others refuse. I carry tools to the workhouse door. I stagger where the moonlight does not reach. No one follows me there. My hand finds the bronze weight in my pocket. It is still there. It is always there. A man dies near the burial ground. The accident happens fast. A rope breaks a timber falls. The sound is wet and final. They carry him to the graves at the edge of the property. The soil is red clay. It stains their hands. After that, no one goes near the place. I watch how quickly the path empties. How the white men change direction without being told. The space becomes forbidden overnight. That is when I remember nights in my village when the elders closed certain pots. No fence, no gate, just knowledge passed in whispers. We did not cross those places, not because we could not, because we understood what it meant to trespass. The whites do not have this knowledge, but they have the fear. I begin to watch which routes empty after dark. I memorize the patterns. I see the map they are drawing without knowing it. The overseer boasts during the day. His voice carries across the fields. He speaks of order and control. He tells us we are watched always, but at night he avoids the grave paths. I see the split clearly now, the distance between what he says and what he does. In my land, hunters were brave men. They tracked leopards. They faced wild dogs, but even they would not cross the masked dancers at the forest edge during ceremonies. Not because the masks were real spirits, because belief made them real enough. I recognize the flaw in the overseer now. His belief is stronger than his command. Fear rules him where authority cannot. I am sent to retrieve tools left near the old workhouse. The sun is almost gone. The sky is the color of old blood. The other men look at me. They do not volunteer to come. I walk alone to the building. The door hangs crooked on its hinges. When I push it, the creak is loud and long. The sound triggers something. I remember drums in the forest. How they echoed to shape fear, not just sound. How the rhythm told you something was there. Even when nothing was, the whites fear what they cannot see. But I understand something they do not. Absence can be louder than presence. I gather the tools. I take my Jimmy. I let the door creak again. When I leave, no one asked me what took so long. An old man tends the graves. His name is Samuel. His back is bent from years in the fields. His hands shake when he works, but his eyes are steady. I watch him arrange the markers. Some graves get wooden crosses, others get stones. He knows which ones make the white men nervous. He moves calmly through spaces that others avoid. He hums while he works. In my land, elders shaped space with symbols. A line of stones I carved a post. Simple things that carried weight. Samuel knows this language too. He was born here, but the knowledge is the same. I begin to watch him more closely. I see how he uses placement. How he lets certain graves grow wild while keeping others neat. He is building something without building anything. The overseer orders patrols tightened. He wants known paths watched. He wants movement tracked. He draws lines on his map and tells his men where to stand. But I observe what he does not see. The ground he marks for patrol is only the ground he understands. The paths he knows. The routes that make sense to him. The spaces he fears remain untouched, unguarded. No memory now. Just calculation. Fear has already drawn the real map. He just does not know it yet. I hear the white men talking at night. They sit near their fire. Their voices carry in the still air. They speak of restless spirits, of sounds that should not be there, of doors that open themselves. One man swears he saw movement near the workhouse. Another refuses to check the grave paths after dark. The stories move faster than facts. They grow with each telling. I remember how rumors worked in my village. How a word in the right ear could redirect enemies without a single weapon raised. The whites are telling themselves ghost stories. They are building their own prison. I store each word, each fear, each superstition. That night, I sit alone in the quarters. The others are asleep. The darkness is thick and close. I pause before I let this thought continue. I acknowledge what I am considering. I am thinking about using their belief against them, about turning their fear into my tool. In my land, this would have been dangerous. The spirits were not to be invoked lightly. To pretend was to risk offense. But I am not in my land anymore. The whites took me from that place. They took everything I was and made it into what they needed. Now I will take what they believe and make it into what I need. The danger is real. Discovery means death, but staying means death too. Just slower. I decide that observation must become movement. The dark becomes my transition. The overseer threatens me over a small mistake. I move too slowly. I did not answer fast enough. The reason does not matter. His face is red. His finger jabs the air between us. He speaks of the whip, of consequences. The threat sharpens my thoughts like a blade on stone. That is when the memory comes clear. I remember elders in my village during the raids. When enemies came at night, the elders used fear to protect the children. They made sounds in the forest. They moved shadows at the village edge. The raiders thought spirits opposed them. They left without finding us. It was not magic. It was understanding what your enemy already believes. The overseer's threat makes escape a necessity, not a wish. I will use what he fears to walk past what he commands. I speak to Samuel at the graves. The sun is setting. We are alone among the mockers. They fear this place, I say quietly. He stops working. His hands rest on the shovel. He does not look at me yet. They should, he says finally. I need them to fear it more. Now he looks at me. His eyes search my face. He sees what I am asking without me saying it all. In my land, alliances were formed this way, without promises, without guarantees, just understanding between people who saw the same truth. Samuel is silent for a long time. Then he nods once. What do you need? He asks. We agreed to let fear speak first, to add to what already exists. To make the overseer's belief solid enough to walk through. Samuel begins the next day. He rearranges markers near the path. Not obviously. Just subtle shifts that feel wrong. A cross tilted at an angle. A stone moved to cast strange shadows. Small changes that catch the eye without reason. I watch from a distance. I see how little is needed. In my land, masks were powerful, not because they were elaborate. A single line painted wrong could change the entire meaning. Could turn protection into warning. Samuel understands this. He is painting with graves. We wait to see the effect. The white men notice that evening. Their conversations change. They avoid the path more carefully now. That night, the overseer himself avoids the area. I watch from the quarters. I see his patrol route bend away from the burial ground. See him send other men to check distant fences instead. No memory now. Only confirmation. Fear has redrawn his map of authority. He commands everything except the spaces his belief forbids. Samuel meets my eyes across the yard. He says nothing. There is nothing to say. The passage is opening. Not with force, not with violence, with the overseer's own terror. I remember my mother's hands braiding my sister's hair, how she wove 3 strands into one strong rope, how simple pieces became something that could hold weight. That is when I know this will work. The flaw is complete. His fear is my door. But knowing the door exists and walking through it are different choices. I stand at the edge of that choice now. The night is dark. The graves wait. The path is clear. My hand finds the bronze weight in my pocket. It is still there. It has always been there. The last piece of my mother's dowry. The last piece of home. I do not forget. I never forget what was taken from me, and I will not forget what I must do to take myself back. We add sound without sound. Samuel leaves tools where they will sway in the wind. A shovel propped against a marker. A rake hanging loose on a post. I unlatch the workhouse door so it moves with each breeze. The creaks begin at dusk. Rhythmic, irregular. Impossible to predict. I remember silence in my village. How it was used as warning. How the absence of normal sound told you something had changed. Here the whites fill silence with imagination. Every creak becomes footsteps. Every sway becomes movement. The space around the burial ground becomes forbidden without anyone declaring it so. I watch the patrols bend further away each night. I test the boundary. I walk the avoided path alone just after sunset. My steps are steady and clear. No one calls out. No one follows. No one even looks. The memory comes then. Walking behind the elders at night during ceremonies. How their calm gave me courage. How fear was something you acknowledged, but did not obey. I reached the far edge of the burial ground. I stand there in the open. Nothing happens. The passage is open. The way is clear. The overseer's flaw has become my freedom. But I hesitate. I stand in my quarters at night and feel the weight of what comes next. This path leads only one way. There is no returning. No second chance. I acknowledge the hesitation aloud. I speak it into the dark. I am afraid. The truth sits heavy in my chest. I remember the first time I hesitated, when the raiders came to my village. When I hid, instead of fighting, when hesitation cost me everything, they took me that night because I froze. I will not freeze again. I choose movement over fear. I choose the unknown over the certain. I will walk the path the overseer cannot follow. Samuel finds me the next evening. We stand near the graves as the sun drops low. The sky is streaked with orange and red. I cannot come with you, he says quietly. I look at him. I see the acceptance in his face, the weight of years. The calculation of risk. I know. I say, in my land, not everyone could make the same journey. Some stayed to protect what remained. Some left to find what was lost. Both choices carried cost. Samuel has family here, grandchildren born into this place. Roots that go deep into poisoned soil. I have only the bronze weight in my pocket and memories of a village I will never see again. The plan is mine alone now. When he asks, "Tomorrow night," he nods. He does not wish me luck. We both know luck has nothing to do with survival. The next night, clouds cover the moon. The darkness is complete. Thick, heavy as water. I watch from the quarters. I see the patrol lanterns cluster far from the burial ground. The white men stay close to their fire, close to light and each other. The memory comes sharp and clear. Ceremonies in my village held without light. How darkness was not emptiness, but presence. How we moved through it like fish through water. The whites fear the dark because they do not understand it. I step into the feared space. My feet know the path. Samuel and I walked it enough times. Every stone, every root, every marker. I move between the graves like smoke. No one sees, no one calls out. Fear is guarding me better than walls ever could. I pass the last grave and enter the trees. The land opens where no one follows. The forest is thick but navigable. Samuel told me where the creek runs, where the old roads cross. I keep my pace steady, not running, not rushing. In my land, hunters taught us that panic makes noise, that fear makes you visible. I walk like I belong here, like the dark is my country. Behind me, the plantation sleeps. The overseer sleeps. The patrols cluster in their comfortable ignorance. They will not search where their belief forbids them to go. A sound carries behind me. A branch breaking. Movement in the brush. I pause. I stand completely still. My heart pounds so hard, I think it will give me away. Fear rises in my throat like water. I acknowledge it. I name it. I do not let it rule me. I remember the elders teaching us that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is walking while afraid, doing what must be done even when your body screams to run. I wait. I breathe. I listen. The sound does not repeat. An animal, perhaps, or wind, or my own imagination, filling silence with threat. I continue walking. Beyond the old workhouse, the path narrows, the trees press close. The way is less certain here. I observe no tracks but my own. No sign that anyone has come this way in years. The memory hits me sudden and sharp. My first journey beyond my village as a child, walking with my father to trade at the next settlement. How the forest seemed endless, how every shadow held possibility and danger. My father's hand on my shoulder, his voice calm. "The path is always there," he said. Even when you cannot see it. That memory is pain now. My father is dead or lost or sold. I will never know which, but his words remain. I do not turn back. Dawn begins to thin the darkness. The sky lightens from black to gray. Birds begin their morning calls. I observe the distance growing between me and the plantation. Miles now, maybe more. The overseer's flaw is complete. He will not search what his belief forbids him. He will send men to check the roads, the towns, the known routes of escape. But the burial ground, the haunted paths, the spaces his own fear claimed, he will avoid them. He will convince himself, I could not have gone that way. Fear has sealed my escape better than any plan. I stop at a stream to drink. The water is cold and clear. It tastes like freedom. I erase signs of my passage. I use branches to sweep footprints. I walk in the water to break my trail. The white man thinks tracking is about following prints. He is wrong. Tracking is about understanding, intention, direction, purpose. I give him nothing to understand. I watch how quickly the land forgets footsteps, how water washes everything clean, how wind moves leaves back into place. In my land, storms were called the great erasers. They cleared evidence. They reset the world. I am my own storm now. My hands as steady as I work. I leave nothing behind. From a ridge, I look back one final time. The plantation is small, in the distance. Smoke rises from the morning fires. The day is beginning there like every other day. But I am not there. Samuel remains, still tending graves, still moving markers, still carrying the weight of what we did together. I remember my mother dividing food during the lean season, how she gave portions that were never equal, how some got more because they needed more, how some got less because they could bear it. Survival does not divide costs evenly. Samuel gave me the path. I walk it alone. Both sacrifices, both necessary. I touch the bronze weight in my pocket one last time. Then I turn away from the plantation. I fussy north. I begin walking toward the rumors of freedom I have heard whispered in the quarters. I do not know if they are true, but I know staying was certain death, and uncertainty is better than certainty when certainty means chains. I pause now before I end this account. I write these words in my mind so I will not forget. So the story will live, even if I do not. The overseer feared ghosts because they could not be beaten, because they existed outside his authority, beyond his control. But ghosts were never the threat. It was the living who became untouchable. The living who chose not to obey fear. The living who understood that belief could be a weapon or a prison depending on who held it. The white man built his world on terror. He thought fear would keep us contained. But fear is a blade with two edges. He taught us to be afraid. He surrounded himself with things that frightened us. Whips, chains, nooses, violence. But in doing so, he revealed his own fears. He showed us the spaces his terror claimed, the boundaries his belief drew. And in those boundaries, I found my path. It was not his terror of the unseen that freed me. It was his terror of the unseen that finally showed me the way out. I walked for days, then weeks. The bronze weight stays in my pocket. My mother's dowry, my last piece of home. I do not know what waits ahead. I do not know if I will survive this journey. But I know this. I am no longer where I was, and that is enough. The white man thinks he owns the world. He thinks his fences and laws and fears define what is possible. He is wrong. We define ourselves in the spaces between his patrols. In the darkness he will not enter. In the paths his belief forbids. We are already free. We just have to walk far enough to find the place where that freedom is recognized. I do not forget. I never forget. And I do not stop walking. My hand finds the bronze weight one final time. It is still there. It is always there. It is proof that some things cannot be taken, that some part of who we were survives everything they do to us. That is the truth the overseer never understood. He could chain my body, but he could not chain the part of me that remembered, the part that calculated, the part that saw his flaw and used it. That part was always free. I just had to be brave enough to walk through the door as fear had opened. And now I have